And thank you all so much for joining us here today. It's amazing to look around at this crowd. We certainly have grown in a year. And we truly appreciate every single one of you coming today. My name is Amanda Bedard, and I'm a victim advocate and one of the proud founding members of the New Hampshire Coalition of Families of the Missing and Murdered. Our coalition has garnered a tremendous amount of attention and community support since our formation last year. And today we stand together, united in our common goal to keep this positive momentum going. If we do not organize, if we do not be a voice for the voiceless, then who will? With over 130 unsolved missing and cold cases in this state, we cannot stand by and not do anything to first raise awareness for all these cases. Many cases haven't received any coverage or have received minimal coverage, especially the older they get. By speaking about these cases, we help everyone to not forget about them and hopefully generate new tips and leads. We're focused on improving communication with investigators and law enforcement. Too many stories are exactly the same. Emails go unanswered, calls never returned, and tips submitted aren't met with any focus or even acknowledgement of receipt. Tips will even come back to the families because the feedback is no one listened or it didn't go anywhere. We want to reform the Victim Advocacy Program. Many families haven't been offered an advocate, or if they have, the advocate does not act on behalf of the families. They're really only an extension of the Attorney General's office. The program is ineffective and needs restructuring and reform. And ultimately, we of course want to seek justice for all these victims. We are realistic in our asks, and of course, we would never want to jeopardize any investigation, but the least the families can get is answers, status updates, and justice. Today, we're going to first start by hearing from some family members, advocates, and survivors. Their stories are powerful, the grief and trauma is real, and you will all hear that today. After hearing from these speakers, we will then move into a moment of solidarity where I will ask any family members who want to speak the name of their loved one to come forward and speak their name. Spending some time doing this will help to remind us why we're gathered here today and remember all the people we are here for. We'll then hear from another coalition member with an update on the collaboration efforts with the Attorney General's office, and then we'll wrap up the gathering with a closing. So it is my pleasure to first welcome a woman whom I admire for her resilience, her tenacity, and her unwavering focus on always advocating for her missing sister. Please welcome Julie Murray.
Thank you, Amanda. As she said, my name is Julie Murray. I am Maura Murray's older sister. I'm joined today by my brother Curtis, and my dad, Fred Murray, is out in the audience. I want to thank everybody for coming out today. We can't say enough how much your support means. I want to say a little message, and then I'll hand it over to the next family. 365 days ago, we gathered here to deliver a strong message, a message enmeshed in sadness, frustration, and hopelessness. Over this past year, we've suffered through yet another birthday, another vigil, and another Thanksgiving with an empty seat at the table while our loved ones' stories remain in limbo. This year we gathered with a renewed hope and a large community and the ear of the public officials charged with bringing our loved ones' cases to resolution. While we've made some progress, our work is far from done. This coalition was founded on the shared grief of those who know what it feels like to rest your weary head on the pillow each night with the looming, overwhelming sense of unknowing. A desperation that cannot be effectively communicated through words. Rather, it can only be known through actually living and feeling it. We don't want to be here today, and I can speak for other family members when I say that. We didn't choose these tragic paths, but they have shaken us to our core and strengthened our resolve. Together we can move mountains. We can be the change that we seek. And I am beyond humbled to be among such resilient people. We cannot do it alone, and we must rely on public officials to help. That's why this year we've laid the foundation of collaboration, mutual respect, empathy, and open lines of communication. To the other families suffering, let me be the first to tell you, you are not alone. Keep going, and when you feel like you simply cannot, lean on each other, for what we share is far more powerful when we express it together. As Rudyard Kipling said in his classic work, If you can wait and not be tired of waiting, I implore all of you to stay the course. Next, I'm going to introduce the family of Trish Haynes, Valerie and Carrie Ann.
Yes, hello. I really want to say thank you to everybody who is supporting us here today and who have made the trips, and for those other family members who also are suffering the losses of our loved ones. I want to introduce Carrie Ann, who's a cousin of Trish, and my daughter, Deanna Emmons, and my granddaughter, Day. We really want to thank everybody for making the trip to see us. On December 16th, 2017, when Trish Haynes boarded a plane to New Hampshire, we had no idea it would be the last time we would see her. Just a little bit closer to you so we can hear you. Okay. Trish escaped an abusive relationship and moved in with her grandmother, only to be manipulated by her abuser into dropping the charges. Disturbingly, instead of protecting her, the state of New Hampshire charged Trish with filing a false police report. She was brought back from Florida to fight these charges, and during her stay, she was brutally murdered. The state of New Hampshire lured Trish to her death, and after she was dismembered and discarded, they did nothing to seek justice on her behalf. Our family followed the investigators' advice to stay quiet, hoping it would lead to answers. But after a year of agonizing silence with no progress, we went public with the news of her death. Within 24 hours, tips poured in. Witnesses came forward. Law enforcement shared what they knew, and even crime scene photos were shared with the family. The public response showed that there was always more information to be uncovered, but it took our public outcry to make it come to light. Yes, despite the noise and the urgency, 6 years later, we are still met with the same dismissive response. Nothing new to report. We've been taught to trust the investigators, but that trust has eroded with every ignored email, unanswered call, and empty promise. The state's Victim Advocacy Program, intended to support us, only added to our frustration, failing to communicate and often changing advocates without notice. Requests for meetings with the Attorney General have been consistently denied, leaving us feeling abandoned and betrayed. New Hampshire has failed our family and so many others like us. The state's lack of action, empathy, and accountability is a profound injustice. It's time for New Hampshire to wake up, acknowledge these failures, and take responsibility for the lives that have been shattered by their inaction. Thank you for coming, and now you'll hear from Carrie Ann Wilson, who is a cousin of Trish.
Thank you all for being here today. We gather not just out of obligation, but out of a shared commitment to justice and accountability. 6 years ago, Trish Haynes was tragically taken from us in a senseless act of violence. Today, we stand before you with a heavy heart and a deep sense of frustration. Despite our best efforts, the case of Trish Haynes remains unsolved. This is not just a failure of investigation, it's a failure of justice. Trish was a beloved member of our family, a friend to many, a daughter, a granddaughter, and her life mattered. Her family and friends deserve closure, and our community deserves answers. The frustration and anger we all feel is a living, breathing entity. The lack of progress in this case and all the cases affecting the families here today is unacceptable. It's a stark reminder of the challenges we face in ensuring that justice is served swiftly and fairly. But let me be clear, we have not given up. We urge our law enforcement agencies to persistently pursue all avenues in this case, to explore every lead, follow every piece of evidence, and leverage every resource available. We will not rest until those responsible for this heinous crime are brought to justice. I also want to take a moment to thank the community for their unwavering support throughout the years. Your strength and resilience inspire us to continue fighting for justice. Together we can make a difference. To anyone who may have information about Trish's murder, I urge you to come forward. No piece of information is too small. Your cooperation could be the key to finally bringing closure to Trish's family and friends. In closing, let us recommit ourselves to the pursuit of justice. Let us honor Trish's memory by demanding accountability and standing together as a community. We owe it to Trish, we owe it to her family, and we owe it to ourselves. Thank you. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Jane Borowski, the lone survivor of the Connecticut River Valley serial killer.
Thank you. My name is Jane Borowski, and I'm standing here today with my daughter, Jessica. 37 years ago, I was just 22 years old, 7 months pregnant, and evil stepped into my life. I was stabbed 27 times and left for dead. Thankfully, my daughter and I survived, but we have never seen justice. Our case remains unsolved. First, I want to thank everyone that came to support us today. Thank you, Miles and Mr. Garrity, for taking the time to listen to us. I also want to thank Shayna and Tate from Light the Way for your unwavering support of our coalition. Also, thank you, Julie. Thank you for your friendship that I so cherish. And to the Trish Haynes family for showing me how to advocate not just for myself and my daughter, but for others. I am so grateful to be a part of this coalition, the New Hampshire Coalition of Families of the Missing and Murdered. Last year, we gathered just a few minutes from here at the AG office. We yelled, we cried, we hugged, we marched, we spoke. We demanded answers, we demanded action, we demanded change, and we demanded justice. We are here again this year, still wanting answers, still looking for justice. A few weeks ago, I received an email from someone who believed they had a very credible tip in my case. I referred them to the cold case unit here in Concord. Now, to be clear, I appreciate every tip that comes in. She emailed me back and said she called up to the cold case unit and they gave her the runaround.
Not acceptable.
And they had her submit the tip online. That is unacceptable. She obviously wanted to personally talk to someone. Unfortunately, I could not help her. Why? Because this is not my job. We do not work for the Department of Justice. They work for us. It's their job to investigate these cases. It's their job to gather evidence. It's their job to follow up on potential tips that come in. It's their job to send evidence out for DNA testing. It's their job to arrest, charge, and prosecute these monsters. It's their job to solve these cases. It's not ours. What is our job? Our job is to be the voice for the voiceless. Our job is to make sure these unsolved cases are never forgotten. We cannot let the people of New Hampshire forget these cases, because if they forget, then the AG office forgets about them. The cases get put in a file and then into a filing cabinet to collect dust, and then they are never solved. And ultimately, the families never receive answers or justice they deserve. I am standing here today with Bernice Quartermash's niece, Lexi. Bernice was only 17 years old when she was murdered 40 years ago. Her case remains unsolved. Lexi never knew her Aunt Bernice. She only knows her through pictures and stories told to her by family. Lexi said to me one day, because her grandparents have passed, the burden of wanting Bernice's case solved now lies on the next generation. Let that sink in. The next generation. Sadly, Bernice's parents passed away with no answers, not seeing justice for their only daughter. It's cases like these, like Bernice's, that have gone way too long without being solved. It's cases like hers that we must not allow anyone to forget about. So what is our job again? To be the voice for the voiceless, to make sure that the AG office do their jobs. Again, it is not our job to solve these cases. It is the New Hampshire Department of Justice's job to solve these cases. Every time I speak, I always say the names of the girls that I advocate for. Kathy Milligan, Elizabeth Betsy Critchley, Ellen Freed, Eva Morse, and Bernice Quartermash. Also from Vermont, Barbara Agnew, Linda Moore, and Heidi Martin. All unsolved cases. I also don't want anybody to forget Tina and Bethany Sinclair. They are still missing after 23 years. And their family, have never seen justice. I just would like to take the time to thank Drew and Amanda Bedard for all they do for me. I could not be doing the advocate work that I do without you guys. You guys are my rock, and I love you. And I want to thank Lexi for being here with me today and let me share her story and her aunt's story. Again, I am so grateful for this coalition, and every time I look around and I see all these pictures of these unsolved cases, it's just heartbreaking to me. Hopefully, with doing these gatherings, we will start seeing some kind of answers. Maybe as we keep these stories going, Somebody out there knows something and they will finally come forward and say something. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming again. And it's going to be the family spot.
Yes, and so now we have a bit of dedicated time for the family spot. First up, we have Ken Dion. Oh, it does. In order for the PA, you have to speak through here. This is just local.
Hello to all of you guys today. My condolences to all of you family members that are here for the same reason that I'm here. I have a lot to say. I'm going to keep it short. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus, but I probably will. I'm sorry. Okay. So, you know, I got a letter from the AG's office a few months ago. I'm sure you guys all got it too. My name is Scott Chase. I am the chief of New Hampshire Attorney General's cold case, et cetera, et cetera. I think we all know who Scott Chase is. I actually sat and met with Scott a year ago, sat in his office. Took me several months to get a meeting, but I sat there with my wife and we chatted with him and our victim's advocate. Fast forward, a year goes by, I get a letter from their office introducing me to them like they never met me. They didn't know who I was. Well, I sat right there in their office and talked to them about my sister's case and all your cases as well. So they took the time to send this letter out to all of us, right? Now, they took the time to send the letter out. Obviously, nobody reviewed it, but they didn't take the time to answer a phone call from somebody calling in with a tip. What the heck is wrong with this system? So I'm gonna go back a few years. In 2018, I spoke at a victims panel discussion meeting here in Concord. And I explained to everybody out there that for the previous 5 years, there was nobody to prosecute a cold case. Nobody. I'm not making this up. There was nobody. When I got done speaking, Gordon McDonald looked that up. Now, he was the Attorney General at the time. He got up and he addressed the audience and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, everything this gentleman just said is the truth." So they're admitting nobody to prosecute a cold case for 5 years. This was 2018. Then after this meeting was done, he approached me and asked me would I speak in front of the Senate and the House and try to help them appropriate funding for the cold case division. Now keep in mind, the state of New Hampshire had over $100 million surplus back then. $100 million. So I did speak in front of the Senate and I did speak in front of the House. That ran into the year 2019. We were trying to get 2 full-time detectives and 2 full-time prosecutors dedicated to the cold case unit. So in June of 2019, I was told that they in fact did get approved funding for a single prosecutor and a single detective. This is June 2019. But because of the way the system works, they're not going to be put into effect until June of 2021. So 2 years are going to go by before they get put into office. Well, 2021 comes along, and I'm reaching out to the AG's office, and I can't get a response. This goes on for months. I have the email string to prove it. And this is 2021. I get a meeting with them in 2022, and they tell me that they have somebody that's going to come on board as a prosecutor. Well, I don't know why they're coming on board in 2022. They should have been active in 2021, along with a detective. So now we're going to fast forward to 2023. So a year ago, January, of course, I'm screaming at these guys. Where's the prosecutor? Where's the prosecutor? Oh, we have somebody that's going to start this year. Scott Chase. Scott's here today. So Scott's going to start this year. So I start firing off emails. I want a meeting with him too. Of course, I got to go through my victim's advocate. We all know that your victim's advocate does not advocate for you. We all know that. They advocate for the state. So several months go by, I do get a meeting with Mr. Chase. My wife and I go, we chat with him, and our advocate was there. We chat a little bit. He tells me at that time that he is designated as the full-time prosecutor, but he still has some current cases that he needs to work on before he can really step into that role. So, a few months ago, I'm watching the local television network, and I see where Scott Chase is prosecuting a current case. So, I fire off a letter to these guys. How can you possibly be the full-time prosecutor for a cold case and be prosecuting a current case? I got a phone call back from them. Well, you know, we told you that we still had current cases to work on. I know you do. I know you said that, but it's, you know, we're a year later now. When are you going to become full-time? And oh, by the way, who's the full-time detective? Can you give me the name of the full-time detective that we allocated funds for? Well, we're going to answer that question in a minute. I said, no, answer the question right now. Yes or no. It was Miles that I was speaking to. Miles is standing here as well. Yes or no. Do we have a full-time detective? Well, we're going to get to that. The answer is no, we do not. So, you members of the press that are watching this right now, I'm going to ask you, please, reach out to the governor's office, governor's not here today, and ask them, where's the money? Where is the money? They allocated money for a full-time prosecutor and a full-time detective. We don't have them. Where's the money? What did they do with it? Does anybody want to know the answers to these questions? Because all of us do. Where is the money? I'm going to close with that. I just please remember, where is the money? Thank you very much, and my condolences to all you folks that have to be here again. Joe Roberts is going to speak next.
Good morning. It's tough to top that. That was a lot of information, a lot of good information. My name's Joe Robert. My sister is Denise Robert. She was taken from us in 2015 on a late August day. She was walking in North Manchester, taken from us. You know, I don't want to go down the road of being negativity, but it's tough not to, okay? We all say we've been talked to by the local police or it's not a cold case, it's active. And, you know, at this point in time, we're just looking for, we've been told they're just looking for more bits of information from the public. And there is a reward. It's just under $50,000, and you can chime into the Manchester PD, and they'll look into anything that's brought forward, and hopefully something like that today will bring something like forward. But I don't call that a warm case, quite frankly. To be honest with you, it's not warm. It doesn't have a pulse. It's very cold. It's in a file, just like this young lady said earlier. It's on a file. It's in a shelf. It's in a box somewhere. Until somebody comes forward. And again, hopefully something like that comes down the pike. But that being said, I want to bring up another story, like this gentleman just here did. My family and I were very active at first, trying to assist the police, going around making neighborhood watch groups, talking to the local community in public. And we're getting a fair amount of leads, just talking to the community, the people that were nearby, or just random things. And at the first part of that year, we were told to stand down by the local police. And with good faith, we were blind faith, we said, yes, okay, we'll let you do your job, we'll back off. And to this day, I feel very bad about that. I don't feel good about that. I know they did their very best of what they had, But I wish we continued, and to this day, every once in a while, we walk the neighborhoods, we talk to the same people that still live there. A lot of them have come and gone, but we lost an opportunity. And that's my frustration. I know a lot of my brothers and sisters were active, involved with that, and they still are. And we're still kicking ourselves for it. Again, it's about money. It's about people. We all know people retire and people come and go. And sometimes we get callbacks, sometimes we don't. Sometimes the dots are connected from the people that are coming and leaving and retiring and going. I've heard signs of not so much, and I've heard some that are good, but I've heard more not. So I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm glad we got together today and rekindled the fire. Hopefully this sparks a fire with the AG, our local police, and gets the word out to hopefully get some more information to hopefully solve some of these cases. I just want to do a quick vote before signing off here. Who here since last year have got a call, I don't want a letter or anything, have got a call or an email responding since this gathering last year? I mean, an email's kind of cold. Let's back off and start there. I want to see hands. Who has received a call from the AG from last year from this last meeting? Raise your hands, please, if you have. Okay, we got one here, two back here, and we got like about a 50 plus crowd here. So 3 out of us all. I don't know about you, that's disturbing, frustrating, and yes, it makes me mad. I think we've sugarcoated it long enough. We've been nice. I demand a call. I demand more than an email, a letter, a generic letter. How do you guys feel about that? How do you feel? Would you like a call? Maybe even a sit down? Well, there you have it. We expect a call. Mr. Gentleman, I'll back to with the ties. Mr. What was his name? The AG office? Mr. Miles. If you could all place a call and give us an update, that would be fantastic. That may take time, but my sister's been gone 10 years. I think she deserves it, and I think we all deserve it.
Woo! Absolutely.
So, that being said, thank you for your time. Thank you for all showing up. Hopefully we get some results from this, whether it be some information, phone calls, and hopefully more than that. Thank you for your time.
Great job. Great. Wow. Thank you all so much for all those comments. You know, Julie, Valerie, Carrie Ann, Jane, Ken, and Joe. Thank you. And now we'd like to set aside a little bit of time to invite up any family members that wish to speak their loved one's name that they have lost. I know you've heard about quite a few cases already today, and I know that public speaking can be very intimidating for people. So simply stating their names. And what we can do is this can really just remind us why we're all here, how many people we have lost, and just show some moments of solidarity, silence, and respect. Okay. Yeah. Does anybody want to come up? I was going to say, I have a list of names I advocate for too, so I can start, but.
Thanks.
Yeah, of course.
This is Jimmy Tedda. Jimmy disappeared. He's originally from Revere, Massachusetts, but he was found on Route 119 in New Hampshire in August of 1973, 15 years old, and his sister Lauren is asking for any help in his recovery.
I'm so sorry for your loss. Come right up. Come right up to the podium. Don't be shy.
Thank you all for coming. This is my sister Paige. My name is Ashley. Our father David Oldham was murdered July 1st 2015. He is listed as a cold case.
Anyone else? I will certainly fill some space. Jane, do you want to? Yeah.
So I was given the phone. This is on the case of Kathy Glotty. Her sister wasn't able to be here today, but she would like us to say a few words about her. Karen Godin is the daughter of, is it? Okay.
Does it talk about what happened to her? Yes.
Already
Like
put you
her
on the spot. Oh,
obituary.
shit.
Okay, today, Kathy would have been 66 years old if it wasn't for someone murdering her in 1971 when she was 13. I believe there are those still holding back information in her case, possibly classmates from St. Mary's or high school students from Franklin High. Now, she was from Tilton?
She's from Franklin.
Franklin. She's from Franklin, New Hampshire. So her sister goes on to say, my family still lives with the pain of an unsolved murder, questions never answered, and the sadness of never knowing her beyond 13 years of age. And then she goes on to say, happy 66th heavenly birthday, Kathy. I miss you, love you, until we meet again, kisses and hugs. So she was 52 years ago, of not having answers in the unsolved murder of my sister Kathy is a long time. Just the other day, I read that a 44-year-old case was solved. I thought if a 44-year-old case can be solved, then why not a 52-year-old case? Even though the prime suspect has passed away, under the right circumstances, her case could be closed. My family still grieves and misses her. We wait, we hope, we pray that one day it will be Kathy's turn and she too will have justice. I love you all, Kathy.
No? Okay. All right. So anyone else have any other names to speak? Perfect. Perfect opportunity. Come on up.
I'm here with Steve and Renee Patton, and their daughter Morgan Renee Patton was murdered in 2019 when going to see her fiance at Camp Lejeune. And although it's not a cold case, there's still numerous of questions that have not been answered, and they have fought resistance, and much like much of you have experienced, we are not getting answers, and instead we're just met with letters that are general to everyone, and yeah, that's all I have to say. But
Just a few other names I had actually written down because we do advocate for quite a few people. You guys heard Jane talk about Tina and Bethany Sinclair. We advocate for them. Melissa Tremblay, Craig Lane, Jeffrey Trudeau Jr., who's just a baby, Rachel Garden, Deborah Horn, Luella Blakesley, Russell Bean, Sylvia Gray, Angel Hazelton, Chris Bird, Janet Dow, Joanne Dunham, Omar Lyons. There's not enough time to speak every single name, but I mean, at least we caught a few. So thank you all for speaking those names and sort of joining in with that moment of solidarity for so many people that we've lost. And now I would like to invite up Carrie Ann again. She's just going to have some comments about our connection with the AG's office.
We want to extend our sincere thanks to the officials from the New Hampshire Attorney General's Office and the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit for attending today's gathering. As a coalition, we strongly believe that a collaborative approach is essential to securing justice for the victims and families of more than 130 unresolved cases. We did invite the state officials to speak today, but they declined. This decision is disappointing, as we believe their voices are crucial in the fight for justice. We hope they will reconsider and speak at future events, as presenting as a united front is not just symbolic. It is a crucial step to providing the solace and answers that we, the families who continue to live in agonizing uncertainty, so desperately deserve. Thank you.
Thank you. One last comment before we start the closing.
How do I do this?
Oh, it's already on. Just speak into it.
Hi, thank you all. I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Mickey Dion Moore. I am Bobby Dion Miller's, my brother, which you've all met, I'm sure, Ken Dion. I'm her sister, and I was like the one above her. Kenny's the one under her out of his family of 6, and Bobby and I knew a lot of the same people. I was just wanted my face to be seen in case somebody connects me with Bobby, and you never know, maybe somebody heard something. So if that's the case, please, I want to say contact the cold case department. But anyway, thank you all for being here. Thanks. Not sure what to do with this.
Thank you. All right, and so as we continue our efforts, our events will grow. If you're interested in joining in the efforts of the New Hampshire Coalition of Families for the Missing and Murdered, please make sure that you find the sign-up sheet. I believe it's right over there, right, Shayna? See, Shayna always has our back. She always knows that she keeps us organized. Our sign-up sheet is right there. That'll put you on your, our distribution list if you just give us your email. And so at this time, I want to make sure and thank the Attorney General's office for attending. Thank you, Senior Assistant Attorney General Miles Madsen, Director of Communication Michael Garrity, Detective Michael McLaughlin. Thank you so much. Sergeant? I'm sorry, Sergeant. I'd also like to thank all of the media outlets that came out today and the podcasts that came out today to help us get coverage. And today, most importantly, absolutely every single one of you. We appreciate your ear, we appreciate your attendance, and we appreciate your participation. Jane, you want to come up and end it? Yeah. Jane ended it last year. Let's do it the same way this year.
So again, we need to continue to be a voice for the voiceless. We need to continue to talk about these cases that are cold or unsolved. Because if we stop talking about them, then nobody knows about them. So many people think so many of these cases are solved, and they're not, because they don't hear about these cases anymore. So we need to continue to be a voice for the voiceless. We need to continue to keep talking about these cases, and hopefully eventually there won't be so many cases to talk about. Right now there's way too many. So do we want to end with our chant from last year? What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want?
Justice!
When do we want it?
Now!
What do we want?
Justice!
When?
Now!
Thank you.
Woo!